And you're sure that you have this thing working this time?
Yes, I was close to getting it working last time. The hunter sent out a false signal that sent me down the wrong track, but now I've definitely locked onto the vibrations of a different universe. And you've really got to see this.
Why?
Trust me, kiddo. Just take a look.
Hello, and welcome to Atop the Orange Wall, where about
Wait,
Power Rangers comics.
So you're telling me. So it would seem. Looks like there's a universe where you became sort of a Power Rangers version of Linkara.
Okay, this I have to see. Play it. Today marks an auspicious occasion because I've finally been able to get my hands on the first 3 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comics made by Boom Studios. I am so excited to review these for you that I'm just going to skip the theme song and jump right in. Though first, a little background. Boom Studios began in 2005, started by Ross Ritchie and Keith Giffen. Ritchie had been working in Hollywood helping to option comic books into films, but he didn't like the process. He briefly worked with 2 other writers to revive an old 80s publishing house called Atomica Press. Giffen had a drink with Ritchie at a convention in Los Angeles and convinced him to leave Atomica and start Boom. Boom published an anthology called Zombie Tales No. 1 under both it and Atomica's name. Giffen and co-writer DeMatteis moved their series Hero Squared to Boom, making that their first solo title. In 2006, Boom started moving into licensed comics, and it's become a strong field for them. Warhammer 40k, The Muppet Show, The Incredibles, Planet of the Apes, including its crossover with Star Trek, various movie titles, Farscape, Fraggle Rock, Disney characters, and so on. In 2015, Boom scored the comic license for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from Saban Brands, launching a monthly comic in January of 2016. 1 month later, between the launch of issue 0 and issue 1, Boom announced a spin-off comic, MMPR Pink, that will release in May. With all that said, let's dig into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 0, number 1, and number 2, and hope that none of these are the stinky kind of number 2. Yes, the first issue of this comic is a number 0. I'm kind of split on how I feel about this. On one hand, I can understand how number 0 implies this is a preview, a new thing. But at the same time, it's no shorter than the other comics so far, and as we'll see, the story follows on directly from number 0, so this really could have just been a number 1. It's hard to tell exactly how many covers there are. I can't get a really firm answer for that on number 0. Each of them is a ranger shown from about chest to belt, holding their helmet in front of them, with their Zord reflected in the visor. I think there are 9 of them: red, blue, yellow, pink, and black, as well as Green Ranger, White Ranger, Red Ranger wearing the dragon shield, and the one that I got my hands on, Green Ranger holding the Sword of Darkness. Therefore, I can only really comment visually with my own eyes on the cover that I got, but it is gorgeous. It's well drawn and well detailed too. A prime example of that is that even though the focus of the image is clearly the Sword of Darkness, the dragon dagger is still seen sitting in the holster. It would have been really easy to forget that small touch. The comic starts on the moon, with a helmetless Tommy standing over the defeated Power Rangers with Rita behind him. Because remember, in the Power Rangers world, breathing on the moon is totally a thing. I wonder if Rita's palace has a Starbucks. She's congratulating him, calling him her prince, and saying he'll do even more great things for her. But it turns out that it's a daydream, which Jason snaps him out of. I like that the dream was the entire first page, because that makes it unclear if this was real or not. Nice touch. Tommy waves off being out of it as being nervous about his first day of school as a Power Ranger. But it turns out that Rita is haunting Tommy even in waking. The Rangers meet up at school, with Billy being nerdy about servers and push notifications, and the other Rangers acting in their characters as well. Rita taunts Tommy that their circle might be hard to break into, if they even want him to. Tommy decides to walk off on his own. Up on the moon, and a nice touch by the way, where the palace is actually labeled Bandora Palace like in the Sentai footage, Rita approaches Finster, who tells her that their latest monster, Bullzer, is ready to go. There's a nice text transition here, as we see someone say, "unorthodox weapons for an unorthodox war." It seems to be referring to the monster, but it's actually a teacher talking about the Cold War. Kim, using her textbook as cover, texts Tommy, telling him that he is allowed to smile now and then. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Yes, Kimberly and Tommy have what seem to be iPhones based on the shape and the messaging program being used. So yes, this story seems to be set closer to modern times, though the exact year is somewhat unclear. I've actually seen people complain about this, saying it takes them out of the story, that it can't really be MMPR if it's set in the now. I'm sorry, but are you really expecting the upcoming MMPR movie to be a 2-hour rerun of the first few episodes of the show? There's room to tell a new story. This is obviously a different universe, and while right now they seem to be working to fit this story inside the actual show, they're under no obligation to stay 100% true to its canon. The fact that the movie has cast different looking actors for the Ranger roles should show you that you have to be open to changes in this story. Besides, folks, this is not Shakespeare. Call me a heretic for this if you must, but a lot of the original show is honestly kind of hard to watch today. It's really cheesy, kind of badly written, and it gets a lot of nostalgia worship. I'm a lot more interested in seeing what the MMPR would be like today versus a rehashing of what they were like in the early 90s. Anyway, an alarm goes off and a school official pops into the classroom saying the students need to evacuate to the auditorium. I really like this since I think we rarely, if ever, actually saw a monster attack take place during the school day. The Rangers, of course, instead head outside and see a giant bullseye attacking the city. I like that the Rangers checked on their own to see if there was a monster and it wasn't, say, an earthquake or something. However, I'd have to imagine the teachers would take roll in the auditorium and realize the Ranger students were missing.
It's Morphin time! Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus! Dragonzord! Yeah!
Dragonzord at the end and not at the start? Worst comic adaptation ever. 7.8 out of 10. Too many mistakes. So, Tommy's first battle as a good ranger takes them straight to the Zords, which are drawn very well. Jason wants to use a tactic called Double Down and then starts explaining it to Tommy. Tommy doesn't care, attacking the bullseye directly, and we see that Rita is taunting him even in the cockpit. The Megazord pins the monster, and Jason tells Tommy to do a tail attack. However, Tommy's controls aren't working at first, as Rita continues to tease him. It finally does work, I think, as I'm not sure the Dragonzord's tail is that long. Anyway, Bullseye goes boom studios. However, there's a problem. The Dragonzord roars and then totally stops working, its tail falling through the nearby bridge and knocking some cars towards the water. Kimberly, perhaps preparing for her solo series, teleports to the Pterodactyl Zord and, doing something I wish we had seen more of on the show, detaches to fly over and save the cars. Back at the command center, Tommy says the controls stopped working and my Zord is broken and Alpha, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. Jason decides to be a dick and get on Tommy's case for not following orders. Tommy comes back that he didn't have the first clue what Double Down is. Neither do I. Best that I know, it's a blackjack move. The two start arguing until Zordon, who looks really good here, stops them. Jason needs to make sure his team is prepared, and Tommy needs to ask questions and not just act. Good, solid mentoring. He tells the team that they need to be sharp because Rita will surely be planning her revenge for losing the Dragon Coin. Sure enough, we see Scorpina rowing out to the remains of Bullseye. Superpowered monster creature and she needs a rowboat? Anyway, she recovers a crystal from it, bringing it back to Rita, who calls the crystal their new beginning as the issue ends. This comic includes some extras, a more cartoonish Bulk and Skull ongoing comic, and a similarly styled battle sequence with the Rangers fighting Putties and Goldar. As they aren't part of the core story, I don't plan on reviewing either. Moving on to the second issue, number 1, that's gonna get confusing. This is where the collectible covers thing went into overdrive. This comic has 27 different covers, between variations in sale edition, convention exclusives, etc. I got what I think is the standard issue cover showing the Rangers fighting Putties. They fit a lot of action in on one page, while still demonstrating that the focus is Tommy. It's a pretty good cover. We start with Bulk and Skull, who it turns out are now YouTubers, doing a show about the Power Rangers. This gives the writers room for a little recapping, since it's been 2 months since the first issue, number 0, came out. That said, they don't really take advantage of it. The recap is really vague, though I guess that makes sense since it is Bulk doing it. Rita and her evil forces showed up, and then the Power Rangers showed up. Then later, Rita made a Green Ranger, and they fought. Now he's joined the team. But this takes a great turn that we never saw in the original show. How does the public feel about a former enemy joining the team? Turns out there's a good amount of public distrust, with one girl even pointing out that the Dragon Zord destroyed the bridge and that anyone who thinks otherwise is fooling themselves. This is interesting since we, the readers, know that the Dragon Zord did destroy the bridge. Zordon must have a darn good PR firm. Funny enough, Bulk ends up interviewing Billy and Trini, who simply say they're glad that the Green Ranger joined up. He also interviews Tommy, who obviously doesn't have much to say about the Green Ranger. Skull presses for more, asking what the Rangers mean to him when Kim gets them to back off. How can he answer under this much pressure? Bulk says there's no pressure, just a chance to talk to their 400,000 subscribers. Hang on a second. You're telling me that those bozos walk around with a camera and a microphone just interviewing people, and their channel is 40 times the size of mine just because it's about superheroes?
Kid, it's just a comic book. Relax.
I do like this kind of characterization for the two. It's more Season 2 than Season 1. They aren't bullies, they're just kind of annoying. Kim even says that they're better in small doses, but basically harmless. Kim pretty much asks Tommy out for coffee after they both use some training at the command center. Tommy asks Kim, "I thought you were more of a juice girl?" which was pretty funny. Zack falls asleep in class, getting a detention. Jason tries to speak up for him and gets himself thrown in there with him. As Kim points out, Jason does like doubling down after all. Jason wants to know why Zack isn't sleeping at home, and he says that he was just up reading. Billy and Trini say they're going to be checking over the Dragon Zord. By the way, Trini doesn't even seem to be whispering. We're going to see later that the writers use smaller text for whispering, so she's just kind of loudly announcing this to the cafeteria. Tommy comes over to have lunch. His lunch is a different period, but he had a meeting with his advisor that got him out of class, so he figured he'd join the Rangers. Of course, then the bell rings, so the others have to leave, and he feels isolated again. "Hey, Rita, do you want these carrots?" Quick little transition that's going to be referenced later, where Bulk interviews Jason and Zack. Zack says the Rangers could be taking a chance bringing Green on, but Jason says if the Rangers trust him, that's good enough for him. Kind of interestingly meta. Over to the moon, more talk about the crystal. It apparently gathers something called chaos energy when it's in battle, but it's still weak and needs more. And by the by, here are Squat and Babu. In detention, Jason presses Zack about what's going on. He opens up a little more, saying it's some stuff at home, and Jason says he's there for him. The show kind of implied that Jason and Zack were best friends, but we didn't really see it a lot, so this is a nice scene. Zack asked Jason if he meant what he said about Tommy, since Zordon never actually asked them if Tommy should join. Jason said if Zordon believes in Tommy, who are they to question him? Sudden battle scene! Tommy is on the ground fighting putties while protecting a group of people, while Kim is up in the air with her Zord providing air support. Zordon tells Tommy that his group has injured and he needs to get them to help. He decides on a path leading away from the monster, and they go. But then it turns out that Tommy led his group right into a putty ambush, and cue more teasing from Rita. But it's okay because it turns out that this was just the training. On a side note, earlier Tommy said that he had training and Kim said that she also had training. It seems like Kim had Zord training and Tommy had ground battle training, so it was really smart to combine those two into a single situation. Nice job, Zordon. However, Zordon seems to get his training simulations directly from Starfleet because it turns out that this was a Kobayashi Maru, a no-win situation. The other path would have led the survivors directly in front of the monster. Kim tells Tommy not to feel bad about it, but he's still pushing himself, asking to run the test again, even canceling his date with Kim.
A no-win situation is a possibility every commander may face. Has that never occurred to you?
Later that night, Tommy returns home, Yeah, Mom, I was just at a woodworking club. Yeah, that's it. I'm making you a sweet chair. He's contemplative, thinking about Skull's question. What do the Power Rangers mean to him? Scorpina tells him not to worry about it since she's teleported into his room in an ambush! The comic concludes with a shorter Bulk and Skull comic, just 2 pages, and a 5-page preview of a new comic called Joyride. That seems like it could be pretty good. Over to issue number 2, and the cover that I got is a neat one. It's a fake Red Ranger action figure drawn really well to look like it's real, though the front-on helmet in the picture looks a little bit weird. Okay, but this has got to be a Legacy line figure, as those accessories are fully painted. We start with Billy and Trini in the Dragon Zord. Funny enough, they seem to sort of try to hide this fact until the end of the page, revealing the claw logo. Except Trini said in the cafeteria that that's what they would be doing. Where else would they be? Showing the same dynamic they had on the show, Billy technobabbles and Trini translates. The Zords function kind of like giant segways, reading a bunch of environmental data and then balancing themselves accordingly. Trini and Billy also seem to have a finishing each other's sentences thing going on, and possibly a budding romance. Billy expected the Dragon Zord to be more ancient runes and candles and unicorn blood, but turns out it's just a Zord. Trini points out that it and Tommy are really more like the Rangers than Rita, and we get some self-esteem issues from Billy. Billy says, after Trini finally pulls it out of him, that Tommy is more like them than him. He's good-looking and athletic. Trini continues her pseudo-flirting, saying that Billy's no slouch either, though perhaps that's also referencing that even as the nerd character, Billy was always just as athletic as the others on the show. Trini then lays it on real thick, calling Billy the most amazing person she's ever met, and saying the team couldn't get by without him. The scene concludes with a freaking gorgeous splash page of the Dragon Zord underwater with sharks swimming around. Oh yeah, the cliffhanger. Scorpina makes an ultimatum to Tommy. Give up the coin or die. And yeah, she makes it pretty clear that she'd kill him. His mom, oh my gosh, a parent, knocks, saying that he's got to eat sometime. Scorpina doesn't make her presence known for some reason, but says that she could attack her to get Tommy to cooperate. Tommy grabs Scorpina and teleports out to a field near the forest. Smart move, but how can he control where he teleports? Realizing that they're isolated, Scorpina destroys his communicator. Tommy morphs, and I found myself wishing that this panel was a splash page, but it still looks pretty good. Fight, and she's getting the upper hand. Meanwhile, Jason is teaching a karate class at a dojo. It's interesting, between the juice joke from issue 1 and this, you'd almost think that the juice bar didn't actually exist in this universe. Except we see Bulk standing in front of it in issue 1 showing the classic sign. It's just that they haven't been in there yet. I wonder if they're going to. Anyway, Kim is waiting for Jason after the class. She needed to get out of her house since her parents were fighting over visitation rights, reflecting from the show how her parents are divorced. And Tommy blew her off for training, so here she is. Jason, looking concerned, asks if she and Tommy are a thing. She says no. Between school, gymnastics, and the other stuff, her plate is full, and besides, she wouldn't want to mess with the team dynamic. Jason totally stopped listening at no, taking his chance to take over the coffee date, which Kim accepts. But before they leave, the sensei stops Jason and asks about Tommy. He uses a different kind of fighting style, Wado or Wado-Ryu, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but for the record, it is a real fighting style. Not sure when the sensei would have seen Tommy fight. I guess he and Jason sparred sometime off-panel? She wants Jason to consider having him help teach the advanced class and work some of that style in. He's uncertain about this, but they're saved by the beep. Zordon has detected that Tommy is fighting and needs help. As Tommy and Scorpina continue fighting, Rita expounds that Tommy is a man willing to fight a one-man war, hence her choosing him in the first place. However, right now he's just feeding the crystal which Scorpina has added to her blade. The green chaos energy is making the crystal stronger. Squat asks if Scorpina getting the coin would therefore actually hurt the plan, but Rita says if that happens, they've just won anyway. Scorpina slashes Tommy and then hits a putty with an arm growing out of its head. It's kind of unclear what's happening here, but I think she was starting a process where the putties melt and glomp onto Tommy, seen by this splat sound effect. Tommy is held in place, and she goes to grab the coin. Except Scorpina, you can't grab it that way. All you have to do is take the morpher off and then press this button on the back. Easy peasy. But that's when Jason and Kim arrive. There's kind of a misleading speech bubble here, pointing more at Jason than Scorpina, which makes it look like he's telling her that she can have Tommy. As Kim starts breaking Tommy free, Zack teleports in, so Scorpina retreats, telling them that the Armageddon is coming.
Winter is coming.
Kim gets Tommy free and he chases after Scorpina, but she's gone already. There's a nice private conversation between Tommy and Rita, where she says she actually supports Tommy, but what do the Rangers think? He walks back to the Rangers, who cleaned up the putties, and he's really defensive, even as they're supportive. At the command center, the Rangers piece together that Scorpina attacking Tommy at home was a sign that Rita will stop at nothing to get the Dragon Coin back. Tommy says that he won't surrender the coin or the Dragon Zord. Segue! Billy reports that nothing's wrong with the Dragon Zord. It stopped listening to Tommy because, like horses, the Zords are less likely to respond if they sense a lack of confidence in their pilots. So the Zords are horse segways. Tommy says that he is tired of being nagged, probably as much by Rita as the Rangers, though they don't know that. And the comic ends with Tommy collapsing in the middle of the floor. This issue only has the 2-page Bulk and Skull comic, no other extras. These comics are absolutely amazing. Throughout these opening issues, we've gotten great character notes for every Ranger. Tommy is haunted by the evil things he's recently done, literally in the form of Rita. It's unclear if the ghost is part of Rita's plan or just a manifestation of Tommy's guilt, which is an excellent ambiguity to leave in the story right now. Jason is a strong leader who cares about his friends, but can be headstrong and confrontational. Billy is technically minded and has self-esteem issues. Trini is kind and supportive. Kim is fun-spirited but has her own issues. And Zack has home problems that are always on his mind. These Rangers feel far more real and deep than the 90s TV show. Rita is a great villain here, working quietly on her plans and keeping the details scarce. She doesn't have that campy 90s Sentai quality to her, which is both good and bad. You miss the humor, but it does lend to the maturity of the comic. Also, it's great for Rita to be using Scorpina since she was so badly underused on the show. For the record, Goldar is mentioned in the main story, but he's only seen in that cartoon comic from number 0. Even Bulk and Skull are handled better, having a true mission in this storyline, and they're not just annoying bullies. Being YouTubers is actually a great fit for their character, as it's a modern-day way to look for fame and success. The storyline is deep and meaningful, Tommy dealing with his demons, and the rest of the team dealing with adding him to the team. Rita is working on her first plan with Tommy no longer on her side, and that plan even branches based on whether or not she gets the coin back. The artwork is really good. All the Rangers look great, both morphed and unmorphed. The Zords look good. There are a few splash pages, but the ones that they use are drawn very well. And there are only 2 panels, the weird Dragon Zord tail attack and Scorpina attacking Miss Putty, where I wasn't sure what was going on. I strongly recommend these comics to any Power Rangers fan, especially the older fans, as they took the MMPR storyline and put a more mature filter on it. Tune in next week as I review a comic where they took the Zeo storyline and put more unnecessary muscles on it.
Well, that's it.
That was cool. I definitely want to see the next one. I've been wondering about that Zeo comic.
Sorry, that won't be possible. Hey, why not? It turns out that just like planets, the multiverses orbit in motion. This multiversal tuner works kind of like a radio. So we can't just scan everywhere, just what's in range of our universe.
But wait, if that means that this universe is also in motion, isn't our position to other universes relative?
You'd think so, but it doesn't seem that way. Maybe the motion is irregular, or maybe there are multiple orbital points. I need to do more research.
Still, that was really cool to see. So, what do you guys think? Was I as good as Linkara? Guys?
That stranger, talk to me. Did you find it? Listen here, bucko. You've got the zappy powers, and I respect that. But I'm not just some lackey you order around without some information. Impudent fool! I don't have to tell you anything! But, in the spirit of cooperation, I will say that what we're doing is putting together a tool. One that will finally stop that annoying ranger once and for all! We do all have our own reasons for hating that punk. So, what are yours? My reasons are mine. Now, do you want another taste of lightning, or are you going to answer my question? Yes, I have it here. How soon can this thing be assembled anyway? There's only one piece left to find. It's hidden in some nearby caves, so I have Cave Sean looking for it. That idiot? He might never find it. He may not be a genius, but he knows his way around caves. Don't you worry, he'll be fine. Bop.
Hey there guys, it's Sean, not Sean Kara, just Sean. And as fun as this video was to make, I just wanted to tack on a little disclaimer here at the end just to make my intentions clear. I've said more than a few times that Linkara is, I can't really call him a mentor because we don't have any kind of relationship, professional or otherwise, but he's definitely my example in video making. My admiration of him is clear, and when I decided to review these comics, there was only one way for me to do it. But I did want to say some things. This is not the greatest comic video review in the world. No, this is just a tribute. I don't intend this to be a parody or a ripoff. This was just a fun way for me to pay tribute to one of my inspirations. If you guys don't watch Atop the Fourth Wall, I seriously recommend it. Linkara reviews bad comic books, which is another reason that I felt it was okay for me to do this. Once I realized that these comics were really good, I felt like we probably won't see them on Atop the Fourth Wall. And he reviews them in a fun and intelligent way that makes you want to read comic books, especially the ones that he does recommend. I do plan on continuing to review these comics, both the MMPR core storyline as well as the Pink Ranger spin-off, done a single issue at a time as bonus videos. However, this is likely the last we've seen of Sean Kara. I'll probably continue using that same motion scan comic review style that Linkara does, seeing as that's basically the best way to review a comic book, but the videos will be done in my own style. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, both to my channel, OrangeRangerVideos, as well as Linkara's YouTube channel, which I'll try to link to below. And if you want to provide a little financial support to either or both of our channels, there are ways that you can do that. Just go ahead and ask in the comments below, and I'll let you know how. And until next time, may the power protect you. Because remember, on the moon, breathe... screw it. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Yes, Kimberly and Tommy have what seem to be iPhones based on the general shape and the messaging program used. I do plan on continuing to review these comics, both the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers core series, as well as the Pink Ranger spin-off. I do plan on continuing to review these comics, both the MMPR core line, as well as the Pink Ranger spin-off, done as one issue at a time. Farts. But the videos will be done in my own style. A prime example of that is that even though the focus of the image is clearly the Sword of Darkness, the Dragon Dagger is my phone making noise. Therefore, I can only comment visually with my own eyes on the cover that I got, but it is gorgeous. Damn it, Kyle! Besides, folks, this is not Shakespeare. Call me a heretic for this if you must... That's supposed to be but, not be. Because poor literacy is the fault of the writer. Scorpina splashes. At the command center, the Rangers pieced together that Scorpina was attacking Tommy at his home. Take 2.
Listen here, bucko. You've got the zappy powers, and I respect that. But you're the blah, blah, blah.